Hello everyone, I'm Zach Drew. Welcome to today's show. Before I start on today's program, I want to encourage you to try to go to a place where you can focus on what's being said today. It's going to get pretty deep, and just try to get to a place where there's no distractions, no noise, so you can hear what's being said and be able to process it and understand it, because huge things are coming. I'm going to go ahead and start off the program by making a little projection, which those of you that have followed my program over the last several years know that I've only given projections just a few different times, and I'll go ahead and say it. Before Trump leaves office, I believe that Bitcoin will have a market cap of $7 trillion. If Trump can accomplish 50% even of what he's setting out to do. And that would mean that the price of Bitcoin would be somewhere around $350,000. This isn't just about crypto and my projection. It's also going to be very illuminating to what's taking place around the world as far as our fiat currency goes. A lot is going to be happening, and a lot is going to shake over these next few years. And after this show, you'll see why. Here are a couple recent comments Trump has made on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Take a listen to this.
Upon taking office, I will immediately appoint a Bitcoin and Crypto Presidential Advisory Council. If I am elected, it will be the policy of my administration, United States of America, to keep 100% of all the Bitcoin the U.S. government currently holds or acquires into the future. We'll keep 100%. I hope you do well, please. If crypto is going to define the future, I want to be mined, minted, and made in the USA. On day one, I will fire Gary Gensler and appoint a new SEC chairman.
And, why fire Gary Gensler? Well, Gary Gensler is the chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, and he hates crypto. He has become the de facto gatekeeper of cryptocurrency in America. But here's the thing, this isn't just about regulation, it's about control. Surprise, surprise, right? So Gensler sits on a ginormous mountain of unchecked power, and it's by design. The SEC's job is to enforce securities laws, and Gensler has decided to classify a whole swath of cryptocurrency as securities. And why would he do that? Because when crypto projects are deemed securities, they fall under the SEC's jurisdiction. That means Gensler, he gets to play judge, jury, and executioner over what can and can't exist in the crypto world. You see, the elites, those pushing for a centralized globalist financial system, being CBDC, which is totally different than cryptocurrency, they see cryptocurrency as a threat because it is. Bitcoin and other decentralized platforms give power back to you, the individual, outside the reach of the Federal Reserve and the international banks. You see, under Gensler's leadership, the SEC has been relentless, suing major players like Coinbase and Binance, throwing the entire industry into chaos. And he's intentionally vague about the rules because, well, confusion keeps everyone scared and compliant. Meanwhile, the push for a central bank digital currency, CBDC, marches on. So why does Gensler have so much power? Because the deep state has constructed and formed it and structured it, these agencies to operate outside the bounds of accountability. The Constitution doesn't give unelected bureaucrats this kind of authority, but the system has been twisted so they can. And Gensler, who taught blockchain at MIT, knows exactly what he's doing. He's not ignorant, he's complicit. And that's why I don't honestly think that Trump is even going to have to fire him. Here's an article saying that he's probably going to resign after Thanksgiving. Gary Gensler expected to step down as SEC chair after Thanksgiving. SEC Chair Gary Gensler is expected to step down voluntarily after Thanksgiving and depart in early January, ahead of Donald Trump's inauguration, according to Fox Business producer. While Trump's choice for the next SEC chair remains undetermined, several candidates are under consideration. Former SEC Commissioner Dan Gallagher, who currently works at Robinhood, has previously indicated reluctance to take the position. Through sources note the situation remains fluid. Bob Stebbins, former SEC General Counsel under Jay Clayton, is reportedly being promoted to Clayton to the transition team. A source close to Stebbins indicates he would align with Trump's White House direction if nominated. Okay, so listen, there's going to be some groundbreaking things that are going to be on this program, things you've very likely never heard before. But let's just keep going. So why is Gary Gensler against crypto? Because crypto in any capacity loosens the control of the Federal Reserve, and the elite are scared. There is a Ponzi scheme. The US dollar is a Ponzi scheme, and the global elite are in this Ponzi scheme. And that is why there is so much debt, because they get a cut of that debt. That's why the debt keeps growing. Cryptocurrency is the pin that pops this bubble, destroys the Ponzi scheme, and huge things are coming concerning the Federal Reserve during Trump's next term, and he's setting up for it now. Today, this was all my intro. Today, I am going to be talking about a bill that Trump is backing, and it's called the Bitcoin Act, for America to buy and store 1 million additional Bitcoins, owning 5% of all Bitcoin. All of that and more right after this. It is our fundraising season. We have 6 weeks left to go. Our goal is to raise $60,000 for our airtime, editing, web, accounting, and closed captioning fees for the calendar year of 2025. And I want to thank a few people that gave during this last week. Dear friend of mine, Patty, gave a gift of $500. We have Carol, who gave $30. Betty and Manny, thank you for your donation of $100. And Charlotte, thank you for your donation of $100. So we have raised $9,350, all right? So the next $650 that comes in will be matched by our friend Mark Eskinder through the Alice J. Hamilton Charitable Trust, as he pledged a match for the first $10,000 raised. So the next $650 will bring us to that $10,000 match. Then we'll have 20. We still have $40,000 left to go after that, less than 6 weeks to do it. Please get involved. Please get involved. You can just go to ZachDrewShow.com, click that bright orange donate button, or you can write in to Zach Drew Show, P.O. Box 797, Decatur, Illinois, 62525, soybean capital of the world, bragging rights right there. And also, if you're giving towards the fundraiser, please put that in your memo section. And remember, all of your charitable donations are tax deductible, and you will receive a receipt for all of your donations in January. We have a long ways to go. We need your help to continue this program. So get involved. Let's get back to the show. The world is about to change, people. It's about to change on so many different fronts. Once again, like I said in the beginning of the show, I hope that you're in a quiet place so you can understand the magnitude of what's being proposed here. I want to show you the Bitcoin Act, a bill that originated in the Senate from Senator Loomis that Trump is backing. Let's read this article. I'm going to break it down for you. So we have the Bitcoin Act, a bill. Just every sentence here is just fascinating. To establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Yes, the United States having a Bitcoin reserve, and other programs to ensure the transparent management of Bitcoin holdings of the federal government, to offset costs utilizing certain resources of the Federal Reserve System and for other purposes. This act may be cited as the boosting innovation technology and competitiveness through Optimized Investment Nationwide Act of 2024 or the Bitcoin Act of 2024. Let's see here. So obviously it'll probably change. It'll be Bitcoin Act of 2025. But Trump, like I said, Trump is backing it. All right, look, findings. Congress finds the following. The global financial landscape is rapidly evolving with digital assets playing an increasingly significant role in the world economy. Bitcoin has demonstrated resilience, widespread adoption, and served as a medium of exchange and a store of value for more than a decade. Just as gold reserves have historically served as a cornerstone of national financial security, Bitcoin represents a digital age asset capable of enhancing the financial leadership and security of the United States in the 21st century global economy. Wow. The acquisition and long-term storage of the substantial quantities of Bitcoin by the United States can strengthen the financial condition of the United States, providing a hedge against economic uncertainty and monetary instability. Bitcoin, as a decentralized and finality scarce digital asset, offers unique properties that complement existing national reserves, strengthening the position of the United States dollar in the global financial system. Diversification of the national assets of the United States to include Bitcoin can enhance financial resilience and position the United States at the forefront of global financial innovation. Now, I want to skip down to something called cold storage. Cold storage. The term cold storage means a method of storing private keys required to transact in Bitcoin with a nexus to secure physical location protected from unauthorized access and isolated from a network connection. So that is the definition of cold storage. Now let's read it. Establishment of strategic Bitcoin reserve. The Secretary shall establish a decentralized network of secure Bitcoin storage facilities distributed across the United States, collectively to be known as the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve for the cold storage of government Bitcoin holdings. The purpose. The Strategic Bitcoin Reserve shall be used for the generation, safekeeping, and management of Bitcoin private keys associated with government Bitcoin holdings. Purchase not more, are you ready for this, than 200,000 Bitcoins per year over a 5-year period for a total acquisition of 1 million Bitcoins. To ensure the long-term stability and security of the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, the Secretary shall hold all Bitcoin acquired through the Bitcoin Purchase Program for not less than 20 years. Rules of construction. Nothing in this act shall be construed to, here we go, this is big. So it says, nothing in this act shall be construed to authorize the federal government to seize, confiscate, or otherwise impair any property right in the lawfully acquired Bitcoin holdings of any person. Whoa. Point 2, nothing in this act shall be construed to infringe upon the rights of individuals, businesses, or organizations to purchase, hold, transfer, or dispose of Bitcoin in accordance with the law. And 2B, nothing in this act shall be construed to affirmation of rights. This act affirms and protects the rights of persons to maintain full lawful control over the Bitcoin and other digital assets of those individuals, recognizing that the ability to maintain self-custody of private keys is fundamental to the principles of financial sovereignty, privacy, and personal liberty in the digital age. This is huge. Executive Order 6102, issued by President Franklin D. Roosevelt on April 5th, 1933, during the Great Depression. It was a pivotal moment in U.S. history when the federal government required most Americans to surrender their gold coins, gold bullion, and gold certificates to the government. Just imagine this. It's 1933 and the government of the United States, a nation founded on the principle of individual liberty and private property, has just demanded that you, the American citizen, hand over your hard-earned wealth in gold. Think about it. The same government that is supposed to serve the people is now confiscating their savings under the guise of an economic emergency. Is this the America our founding fathers fought for? Some of us don't even know this history, but this was in my opinion, this was an outrageous overreach of government power. The people weren't hoarding gold to sabotage the economy. They were protecting themselves in a time of chaos. That is what many are doing. That is what even BlackRock, evil BlackRock, is now encouraging their customers, if you will, to diversify into blockchain to protect themselves in the midst of economic uncertainty. That's what people were doing with gold back then. And the government took it. And yet the government punished them for exercising their natural right to secure their future. Doesn't this sound eerily familiar to what we're seeing today with the push for centralized control over your finances, like the villain of cryptocurrency, which is the central bank digital currencies, right? CBDCs. The constitutional perspective. What happened in 1933 violated the very essence of our Constitution. It's the Fifth. The Fifth Amendment, it guarantees that no one shall be deprived of property without due process or process of law or just compensation. But what kind of just compensation was $20.67 per ounce when the government revalued gold at $35 per ounce almost immediately after confiscating it? They robbed the American people blind, plain and simple. This wasn't just a financial policy. It was theft by the state using fear and propaganda to convince people it was for the greater good, right? Anytime the government, think about COVID, anytime the government starts saying for the greater good, you have reason to question. But if the government can seize your wealth under the excuse of an emergency, what's to stop them from doing it again? This is a conservative warning for today. History repeats itself. And let me ask you, what other podcasts are you listening to that talk about this in depth? Right? Today we are staring down the barrel of the same kind of tyranny. And we just don't understand it. I think about the rise of CBDCs, digital money controlled by the federal government. Once all transactions are digital, which that is what the Federal Reserve wants to do, they can monitor, they can control, and yes, even confiscate your wealth with the click of a button. It's Executive Order 6102 on steroids. Imagine living in a world where your ability to buy and sell is contingent on government approval. You don't donate to a church that they like, frozen. You support a political candidate they disapprove of, canceled. That can't happen, Zach. The precedent was set in 1933. It's already happened. If we don't learn from history, we will be doomed to repeat it. This wasn't about saving the economy in 1933. It was about consolidating power. And what did Americans get in return? A devalued dollar, a loss of trust in their government, and a dangerous precedent that paved the way for the fiat currency system we have today. A system that has enslaved us to debt and the Federal Reserve. And people are sleeping. It's time to wake up. If we don't stand for our God-given rights now, we will lose them forever. This is a spiritual battle as much as it is political. And think about what the Bible says. I mean, like gold and silver, which are a wonderful thing to protect whenever the dollar goes to zero. Gold and silver are biblical forms of money, and the government's attack on them is part of a broader rejection of God's order in favor of man-made control. Back to Bitcoin. The Bitcoin Act, supported by Donald Trump, declares unequivocally that the federal government has no right to confiscate lawfully acquired Bitcoin or other digital assets. This is more than just a financial policy. It's a declaration of independence for every American. It states in no uncertain terms that your wealth is yours, not the government's, not the Federal Reserve's, and certainly not property of a globalist agenda. This act clearly affirms your right to hold Bitcoin, transfer it freely, and even maintain self-custody of your private keys. And in the digital age, this is the equivalent of hiding your gold in your backyard. Do you understand that? Like, are you making that connection? Except the difference is it's even more secure and harder for the government to control because it's totally decentralized. This act isn't just sound policy. It's deeply rooted in biblical principles of stewardship and the Constitution's guarantee of property rights. And we're at a crossroads. While this act moves us closer to freedom and decentralization, let's not forget the lessons of 1933. If we don't safeguard these rights and fight for financial sovereignty, the forces that stole Americans' gold could just as easily find a way to seize digital assets with CBDCs. The battle isn't just about money, it's about liberty. So let this act be a line in the sand. Under a Trump administration and with policies like these, we can reclaim America's financial independence and we can resist the creeping tyranny of centralized control. So what does this mean for the future of cryptocurrency? And I'm not, listen people, I'm not saying what you should and shouldn't do with your money, I'm not. I just am here to report the news and I'm here to, just enlighten you guys. You do whatever you want. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. I don't think you should ever have all your eggs in one basket. But if Trump is successful in this, let's talk about what happens when the leader of the free world embraces Bitcoin. What happens? Well, obviously other nations would undoubtedly follow suit. We've already seen countries like El Salvador and the Central African Republic adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. Imagine the likes of Russia and China and oil-rich nations like Saudi Arabia deciding that they too need to secure a share of Bitcoin's limited supply. And this isn't just speculation, it's a likely outcome when a finite asset like Bitcoin becomes the new digital gold of the 21st century. And here's the kicker. When nations start competing for Bitcoin, its price would skyrocket. With Trump leading the charge, I believe Bitcoin's market cap could realistically hit 7 trillion. It's already hit a larger market cap than silver. It already has. It's as I'm filming this, it's like a $1.8 trillion market cap or something like that. I think it could hit 7 trillion before the end of his second term. That would mean we're looking at Bitcoin prices of around $350-something thousand per coin. And I want to say this really quickly. What's your why? Someone taught me that many years ago, whenever you're whenever you're contemplating a decision or trying to just self-evaluate your life of whether it's your passions or your like where you're struggling in life, the things you're gravitating towards, it's a really great thing to ask yourself, what's your why? And then what's your answer? And then if you can even ask it again, what's your why there? What's your why there? And it really get down to the root of what's steering and directing and motivating you under the surface. I think to myself, in this situation, like, if I was someone like Senator Litmus or, Donald Trump, what's your why? What's the heart of the matter? I believe it's that Bitcoin represents freedom. It's decentralized, untouchable by the global elites, and immune to the manipulation of central banks. Stewardship and private property. Let's read some scripture. The concept of owning and safeguarding property is God ordained and foundational to human freedom. Exodus 20:15 says, "You shall not steal." This commandment underscores the sanctity of private property. If property rights didn't matter, God wouldn't command against theft. The government's actions in 1933 and any modern compensation tread dangerously close to violating this principle. Genesis 1:28. Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it and have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the heavens and over every living thing that moves on the earth. This verse speaks to stewardship. God entrusted individuals, not governments, with dominion and responsibility over the earth and resources, including wealth. The dangers of tyranny. The Bible warns against oppressive rulers and systems that seek to take from the people unjustly. 1 Samuel 8 says the prophet Samuel warned Israel about the dangers of having a king who would take their resources. He will take the best of your fields and vineyards and olive orchards and give them to his servants, those who are federally employed. He will take the tenth of your flocks and you shall be his slaves. This parallels how centralized powers like the Federal Reserve or overreaching governments can strip people of their hard-earned wealth. Financial wisdom and honest scales. The Bible has a lot to say about that. And preparing for the future. God's word calls us to wisdom in managing resources and planning for the future. Proverbs 13:22 says, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. Securing financial sovereignty isn't just about us, it's about the generations to come. Systems that confiscate wealth destroy this biblical mandate. Wow, I'm out of time for today. I want you to know this. If you're watching on Comcast Cable, you're going to need to watch this show on any social media platform. Because if you're watching on social media platform, whether it's Rumble or wherever we're at, Facebook, YouTube, you're going to get the full show. But on television, I have to keep the show to a 28:30, which means 28 minutes and 30 seconds exactly. So you might get 1 or 2 minutes of this video I'm going to show, but the others that are watching, you're going to get the full 6 minutes. I think it's really powerful. And so I'm going to end the program with this video, and then we're just going to fade to black and it's going to be over. I want to end the program today with an interview with, who's a true Bitcoin aficionado. His name is Max Kaiser, about the global rise of the cryptocurrency Bitcoin. Take it with a grain of salt, but I thought it was really interesting, and I thought you'd want to know. So we're out of time for today. Let's go ahead and roll that video, and then we'll just fade to black. And I won't see you next week because I will be out of state. We're going black next week, so no show next week. I'll pick you up the week after. And please remember to get involved with our huge fundraiser. We have less than 6 weeks to go. Watch this video, and I'll see you in a couple weeks.
Trump, will he be successful in buying 1 million Bitcoin? Well, it won't be at prices that you see today, around $80,000 per Bitcoin. He'll be buying Bitcoin at $100,000, $200,000, $500,000, $600,000 of Bitcoin. Alex, Bitcoin just took out silver in terms of its market capitalization. Silver was valued at roughly $1.7 trillion. Bitcoin is now worth more than silver. And I will tell you on this show that as 2 + 2 = 4, and as the sun rises in the east, that Bitcoin's market capitalization will be greater than gold. So gold at roughly $17 trillion. That means the implied price for Bitcoin is $800,000. It's currently around $80,000. That you can take that to the bank. It's absolutely guaranteed. It's mathematically guaranteed to go to $800,000 to take out gold because it's a superior form of value and money than gold. And the history of money is always a case where those who have money flock to the hardest money, the scarcest money, the most valuable money, and that is Bitcoin. And that's not going to change. And therefore,
and let me just interrupt you briefly because I want you to elaborate on this. We don't have the crew to do it. If we get more funds in, because this is what goes viral. People love to see somebody predict something accurately because they know it's valuable for what they're about to say about the future. You have literally predicted on my show and your own show all of this basically with precision. You said Trump's going to win in a landslide. People are pissed off. It'll be too big to rig a few months ago on the show. You said there's a global Bitcoin revolution coming led by El Salvador. Once Trump gets in, he's going to endorse it. It's going to explode. All these other countries are going to start jumping into it. And then it will become the new global monetary system based on freedom and based on security and based on privacy. And all these other central bank systems and other attempts are going to fail. And you literally have spoken into existence. I just can't believe I'm sitting there covering Bilderberg with you. What year was that? Like 14, 15 years ago, north of London, in whatever town that is. It's some beautiful rolling green hills, this giant palatial facility. And days before they got there, we were talking at the hotel. Then we went to our own hotel and we were kicked out. And it was like prophecy. I mean, you've already said all this years before. Everybody has it on tape. But I remember you getting mad at me at like lunch and dinner and for days. And then you get me in a car to do an interview and you're still trying to proselytize me. And then it was the last day and you finally said, fine, get out. You're not going to listen. And then I'm like, see, and you go, ah. And you wouldn't even, I think, talk to me for like 2 years after that. I get it, because you were really trying to help me. I wouldn't take millions in Bitcoin. I wouldn't believe you. It wasn't I didn't believe you. I just wasn't paying attention. Oh, yeah, Max Kaiser, I knew you're not a BSer. Like, you're going to give me billions of dollars. Okay, right. It's just so crazy. So you got the floor to go back. You predicted all this. It's now happening. Talk about what's coming if they don't kill Trump and this happens. Because this could, like you said, the new innovation like the internet, this could be just as big or bigger. This could really make us number one again and energize the world. Instead of war, we can have renaissance. So you told us what was going to happen 10, 15 years ago. Now tell us what's going to happen if we're able to get these psychotic nutcases, this death cult with King Charles at the head of it out of the way. We can just get these idiots out of the way. What's going to happen?
Right. I believe it was Bilderberg in 2012. Bitcoin was around $5. I offered to give you 10,000 Bitcoin because I thought if you gave it to your audience, it would be a way to help spread the revolution. And never happened. But nevertheless, I've been proselytizing Bitcoin on your show really since 2011 when we first heard about it and started talking about it on Kaiser Report. Now, going forward, what you're going to see is this mad scramble to acquire as much Bitcoin as possible, which means that everything gets demonetized or everything goes to zero against Bitcoin. One of the reasons the property market in the US is so soft is that real estate market is losing its monetary premium. For many, many years, Alex, people just took it on faith that, you buy real estate and it's always a winner if you hold on to it. But that is no longer the case because Bitcoin is a superior investment to real estate. A lot of real estate and professional real estate investors and REITs, the real estate investment trusts, they're all now capitulating and understanding that real estate has ceded the high ground to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a superior investment to real estate. We already know it's superior to gold. Obviously, it's superior to silver. It's superior to the stock market. MicroStrategy, which is basically a pure play, a leverage play on Bitcoin, has outperformed the S&P 500, every single company in the S&P 500 last year. And it's set to, the stock, MicroStrategy, just hit a new high after 24 years. They were 2.5 years ago, the company is worth $2 billion. It's now closing in on $60 billion in market cap. And they just announced they're going to buy another $42 billion in Bitcoin. This is being mimicked by companies all over the world who are using their balance sheet as a strategic reserve. They're using their balance sheet to buy more Bitcoin. In the case of MicroStrategy, he has repudiated all known economic and financial theory about corporate governance because he is selling stock and convertible preferreds into the open market, which would normally be a dilutive to your company's earnings. But since he buys Bitcoin with that cash, it's immediately accretive. So dilution becomes accretion, and he's not going to stop. He said recently, just yesterday, he's set to buy up to 200 billion more Bitcoin. El Salvador, of course, buys Bitcoin every single day. They kicked off the global hash war. Other countries are following suit. You've got the Central American, Asian countries. European is a little slow, as they usually are. They're very wed to their Keynesianism and their stateism, so they're going to be slow to get into the game. But the U.S. is nimble, and Trump has identified that this is where the future needs to be.